All right, boys and girls. Today's lesson, we're going to talk about the distance formula. Um, Something you've probably saw before, if I'm not mistaken. I'm going to go right into a first example here. The distance formula is very similar to this guy right here, the Pythagorean theorem. My handwriting is getting very sloppy. Theorem. And if you recall back in 8th grade, it was a squared plus b squared equals c squared. Or it could be this, a squared plus b squared, all underneath the square root here, and that equals c. Okay. Between 2 points, let's kind of examine a couple points here. I'm going to try to write real neat, which is very difficult sometimes for me. There's a point right there. And then we'll go about right in here. Okay. So we want to find the distance between those 2 points. One thing you obviously want to do is kind of label the points. I'm going to go ahead and name them A and B. Point A is 2, 1, and point B is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, up 1, 2, 3, 4. So we got 5, 4. All right, so if you're looking at Pythagorean theorem first, before we get into the distance formula, obviously we're wanting to find the distance from here to here. Okay, now if you recall the Pythagorean theorem, C is the hypotenuse. Well, in this case, we have a hypotenuse. So I'm kind of showing you how the distance formula come about and how they both intertwine. So C gives us that distance. Well, we got to figure out A and B, or A and B right here, whichever one. We're probably going to focus more on this one here because it looks more similar to the distance formula I'm going to show you. So let's do that. What I'm going to do, Pythagorean theorem is used for right angle triangles. I'm going to draw a triangle out of this. Okay, it's not very perfect, but so there's my right triangle. Well, let's try to draw it a little bit neater. So there's my, wow, one of these days I'll get it right. Okay, there we go. It looks a little bit better, I guess. We got to find A and B. Now, A and B can be right here. Well, what's the length of B? We can actually figure that out if we count from this point. And I'm going to change colors here. Let's go green. I'm going to count from this point here to where the right angle is located. I'm going to count that distance. So we got 1, 2, 3. So I know B equals 3. I'm going to do the same thing with A. I'm going to count from my point B here to the right angle. 1, 2, 3. So A is 3 as well. Now, what I can do is kind of plug and chug into the Pythagorean theorem, which we are going to use this guy right here. So I got a squared plus b squared, all that underneath the radical sign. It's going to equal my c. My c is going to be my distance. All right. Now, remember B is 3 and A is 3. Let's go ahead and plug in for that. So what we'll have is 3 squared plus 3 squared inside the radical. Let's go ahead and work this out. 3 squared is 9 plus another 3 squared is 9. And I get square root of 18. Now, you can stop right here. Okay? Because when you square root 18, you're going to get 4 point something or another. Dot, 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 dot. 4 point something equals C. This is a lot easier to look at, guys. Now, if it's a perfect square, like say we had square root of 16, that equals 4. Obviously, I'm going to want 4 there. But if you square root the number and you get a decimal, leave it like this. Okay? That's what we're looking at. Now let's look at the distance formula. Sometimes you won't be given a graph and we got to name the points. Let's just say they give us 2 points here. I'm just going to make this up off the top of my head. Let's say we want to know the distance between these 2 points. Let's go negative 5, 8. We're going to throw some negatives in there. And let's go for negative 10. Okay. Now here's the formula I'm going to want you to use. Okay, very similar to Pythagorean theorem. We're going to draw this big old square root. And since we're talking about distance, let's write equal D for distance. Okay, right here you're going to have the difference of x2 minus x1 squared plus the difference of the y's, y2 minus y1 squared. Okay, so this is kind of like A and this is kind of like B, or whichever way you want to look at it. But so there's our A squared plus B squared equals C squared. Or if we look at the Pythagorean theorem that I was using, the square root of A squared plus B squared equals C. Okay, that's basically what we got right here in our distance formula. Now, just like midpoint, you want to label your points. And it don't matter, just keep them grouped together the same. So you got x1, y1. Okay, I'm going to have to write down here x2, y2. Okay, don't jumble them up. Just x1, y1, and then let the other ordered pair be x2, y2. And then it's just all plug and chug, boys and girls. So my x2 is 4 minus my x1 was negative. Okay, there's probably going to be some problems with just signs. It's x2 minus x1. So we got 4 minus a negative 5. You got to be careful with that. Plus y2 is negative 10 minus, what's my y1? 8. Okay, that's going to be squared. Okay, that's going to equal my distance. It may not be a pretty number, but nonetheless, it is a distance. Now, we got to do order of operations where we have to do what's inside parentheses first. 4 minus negative 5. Now, I want you to notice something that I'm doing here too. That gives me 9. I got 9 in parentheses, and I'm going to square that. That's going to be a key factor or key part when you're plugging in on a calculator. Let's get in a good habit of putting parentheses around the number that we're squaring. Why is that? Well, What's negative 10 minus 8? Negative 18. Well, negative 18, since it is negative, I'm going to be squaring that. That's going to give me a positive number. Now, I've had a lot of people keep that negative and then they'd have something weird inside the radical sign. I'm like, no, when you square a positive or a negative number, you're going to end up with a positive number. Now, let me go to another page here. And I'm going to go ahead and write this down. So I have 9 squared plus negative 18 squared, make sure that's in parentheses, equals D. All right. All right, sorry guys. I had to blow my nose. All right, back again. All right, so let's continue on here. I'm gonna hurry up and get this one done here. We got 9 squared, 81. Okay, positive. Negative 18 squared is 324. Now notice that both these numbers equaled out to be positive. We got to add them together now, which will be 405. Okay. Now if I square root that number, I'll just check it over here to the side. You get 20 point something. Just keep it like this. Like, I'm sure if you have a multiple choice question and you see like a bunch of decimals, you know, you'll know how to square root the number. All right, guys, that's about all I have. I'll see you later.